My name is Brian Hayes, and I'm the creative director on EA Sports UFC. Yeah, it is my first time here at Gamescom. My mother's German, so I like getting a chance to eat some Wiener Schnitzel again, although it's not as good as my mom's. That's for you, Mom. And then also I just had muesli for breakfast. Haven't had that in a long time. But, I mean, it's just a tremendous event. And then for us on EA Sports UFC to be here, even though we're so early in development, is just a really cool experience. To be perfectly honest, I'm going to be somewhat biased because the only other games I've seen have been EA games at the EA press conference. So obviously, really impressed with Battlefield 4, and FIFA 14 looks awesome on next gen as well.
Are you a FIFA 14 player?
I wouldn't. I mean, yeah, I play it. Everybody at EA Canada will totally destroy me in the game, so I don't feel justified saying that I'm a FIFA player. I do play the game, but I'm a fighting games guy, so I get my butt kicked in football. Explaining EA Sports UFC in a couple of words, well, I mean, our mission statement or our vision for this game is Field the Fight. Really trying to bring the fighting characters to life in ways we haven't been able to do in the past on current gen platforms. So the power of the Xbox One and the PS4 really making the characters a lot more lifelike, and just the way they behave, act, move around the ring, just really bringing them to life, making them seem more like human beings as opposed to sort of cartoony, arcadey action figures. For me, and I think for a lot of people, the thing that makes mixed martial arts so interesting, it requires such a multitude of different skills. Like Gary Cook said on stage yesterday, there's a number of Olympic sports that actually feed right into mixed martial arts: judo, boxing, taekwondo, wrestling. The top level mixed martial artists need to be well versed in all four of those things, which other people spend their lives just mastering that one section. So, I mean, it's just a tremendously varied, tremendously challenging combat sport. And then to see different fighters who have different strengths and weaknesses, and then how those fights will play out based on the balance of those strengths and weaknesses is just always very interesting to watch. There's always a chess match somewhat of who can enact their game plan over top of the other guy's game plan. So it's tremendously interesting, and obviously they're highly trained, tremendously athletic individuals. So I think that's really the thing that makes it most interesting. The single greatest feature in EA Sports UFC, it's a hard one. There's so many great features, but I'm going to say one of the things that's really cool for me right now, as we are again still early in development, is the real-time exertion and full body deformation, because those are two things that again we weren't really able to do on earlier platforms. So actually being able to see that when one fighter puts another fighter in a chokehold, and you can see the flesh moving where they're coming in contact with each other. This is something we've never been able to do before. So technologically speaking, even it's just something really cool for me to see. I never thought we'd be able to do that in video games, and here we are. So. I mean, I think it's great. For one reason is just the global expansion of the UFC and mixed martial arts is just a great thing in general. It's a sport that I think speaks to, or just basically everybody in the world can understand it. Fighting is universal is another one of our sort of mission statements, and the UFC's mission statement. And there are a lot of really talented German mixed martial artists coming up. Guys like Dennis Iver's already well established in the featherweight division. Pascal Kraus is a young guy in the welterweight division who's got a really strong record. He hasn't fought recently that I've seen, but again, really strong record, young talented guy, lots of potential. And then, yeah, you were just telling me about some other guys as well that I haven't heard of recently, but I know the UFC is looking at signing a lot of global talent, and I'm sure some of that's going to come from Germany as well. Yeah, my favorite fighter, and I'm going to stick with him, is the Korean Zombie, Chan Sung Jung. But close second, I would say, is have to be Frankie Edgar Jr. Just after seeing his last fight, I was just super impressed with his skill and ability. So that's my 1-2. So.
I'm Bruce Buffer, and I'm what they call the official voice of the UFC Octagon. I'm the announcer. I introduce all the fighters for 17 years now. It's not my first time in Cologne because I've traveled Germany quite extensively. I love Germany. My first time at the gamescom, conference or event, and it's amazing because I'm a gamer. I have been since the days of Pong and Space Invaders, and it's just gotten better and better. When I look at these games that EA introduced today, it's unbelievable where this industry has gone. Well, we had 2 shows here in Germany, and I understand we're going to be back in 2014. And basically what they should know, as much as they enjoy boxing, my brother is Michael Buffer, the famous announcer, Let's Get Ready to Rumble. I manage in his career, I'm his partner. And it's always great for him to come over here to Germany to introduce the boxing matches. What the fans have to look forward to is that aside from just boxing, the UFC fighters, they basically contain, and their abilities are every kind of fighting known to man. You have to know wrestling and boxing and kickboxing, karate, jiu-jitsu, everything that's possible to fight to survive in the octagon in which they fight. And the exciting thing is that we have German fighters like Dennis Siever, who's been fighting in the octagon, and just last week I read where they signed another very well-known martial artist, I forget his name, from Germany. So you'll have some of your local heroes to cheer for when we come here for the UFC. Well, I'm not just excited to be part of the UFC experience. I've been in a number of UFC video games. The most amazing thing to me is that finally we're with the greatest video game maker of all time, which is EA. So to be part of the EA family now is very exciting for me. I'm a teammate of EA, and I want to wear EA on my chest along with my UFC label. Well, I've been a martial artist since I was 12. I've studied a number of different styles. I fought as an amateur. I have a couple of black belts. And then when the UFC came on the scene, I realized, managing my brother's career, that I wanted to announce, but boxing was not an area I was going to go into. But I knew something would come along. And when the UFC came on the scene, I knew the Octagon was for me. And my book just got released. It's called It's Time, and it was released a couple months ago. And I tell the story of how I got the job in the UFC. Now it's lasted for 17 years. I've announced probably about 3,000 fights in the Octagon. I've seen everything you can possibly imagine. And it's my home, it's my office, it's where I work. I love it. Everything is going to extremes. In America, we found that the male demographic of 18 to 34 years old, that 76% of them are fans of the UFC. In America, we don't have a single sport that can claim that kind of statistic. In Germany, you'll find that when they start watching it, it's like skateboarding's gone extreme. Motocross has gone extreme, surfing's gone extreme. Now fighting has gone extreme. And that's where the UFC comes in. You have the most elite fighting warriors in the world. These are some of the most amazing conditioned athletes in the world. And they're just phenomenal to watch. The skill factor they have to possess to survive a fight in the Octagon is just beyond most people's recognition. As a matter of fact, even comparing the way they train to the way boxers train, they have to train twice as much. Because not only do they need to know boxing, but they need to know how to wrestle and how to kickbox, along with their conditioning and their weightlifting and everything. These fighters will literally train for 7-8 hours a day for 8 weeks before a fight. 2 hours in the morning, break for eating. 2 hours, break for lunch. 2 hours, break for eating. Rest 2 hours, dinner. Go to sleep, do the same thing again the next day. 6 days a week. They're unbelievable.
Thank you very much for the interview.